know that line in Genesis 6, sons of God, daughters of men? This is the scripture that drives pastors crazy, and it's been driving theologians crazy for hundreds of years, which is why this scripture has been watered down, mistranslated, and tweaked until the original words mean something else. The real question is why. If you don't understand what was going on in Genesis 6, then Genesis 3 doesn't make any sense, and neither does half of the Bible. This section of scripture warrants deep study. Let me help you get going in the right direction. Quick question. If the sons of God are just believers, are they only men? So, before the flood, you had male believers only, and they all came from one special family line? Really? Here's the problem. Any purely human reading of sons of God in Genesis 6 ignores the original context, the world Moses and the biblical writers lived in. That context is Mesopotamia, and in that world, there's a story you have to reckon with, the Apkallu, divine beings tied to pre-flood wisdom, corruption, and judgment. Since about 2010, scholars pulled together the cuneiform data and showed the tight parallels. Divine rebellious figures, human women, hybrid offspring, moral chaos, and a flood. If you're going to interpret Genesis 6, 1 through 5, and you never engage that material, you're reading out of context. Period. Yeah, but my commentary says the sons of God are just Seth's line. Ask this. Does it even interact with the Apkallu evidence? Most don't. Some don't even mention it. That's not depth, that's avoidance. Let's be honest. The Sethite view tries to drain the supernatural out of the passage. But then it hits a wall, the Nephilim, Genesis 6:4. If nothing unusual is happening, no divine rebellion, no hybrid transgression, where did the Nephilim come from? Why do ancient translators render them giants? Why does later biblical tradition link giant clans to this same stream? People will twist Nephilim into those who fall upon, or the fallen ones, anything to dodge the obvious. But the ancient world knew exactly what this meant. The biblical writers did too. And the earliest Jewish and Christian readers, they took it supernaturally, until later theology got uncomfortable and tried to domesticate the text. So here's the challenge. If your view of Genesis 6 never leaves your modern study and never walks into ancient Mesopotamia, it's not the Bible you're defending, it's your comfort zone. Genesis 6 isn't a morality tale about good Sethite boys marrying bad Canaanite girls. It's a collision of heaven and earth, a supernatural transgression so serious that it triggers the flood. That's the story the ancient world understood. That's the story the Bible is actually telling. Want to study the actual event? Go read The Origin of the Watchers by Amar Annis. Look at the Apkallu parallels. Then come back and tell me Genesis 6 is just a family tree dispute. Search the context. Confront the text. If Scripture makes you uncomfortable, good. That's where growth begins. Don't sanitize the supernatural. Read what's there, then decide. It seems that in this day of AI, false doctrine, and pretend versions of what the Bible actually says, we are being given instructions from those who know more than we do. We're being told to just believe it because they said, or better yet, believe it because it's on the internet or on YouTube. No footnotes, no debate. That's how bad ideas get promoted into doctrine. Case in point, a third of the angels rebelled before creation. Where does that come from? Not the Bible. It's mainly 19th century gap theory apologetics, Milton's Paradise Lost. Beautiful literature? Sure. Biblical exegesis? No. Now let's read Genesis 6:1-4 like the ancient people did, not modern skeptics. If you flatten sons of God into just human guys and daughters of men into Cain's line, you're importing a post-enlightenment anti-supernatural comfort zone the biblical writers did not share. The ancient context is Mesopotamia. Enter the Apkallu, divine sages who crossed a line, corrupted humanity, and helped set the stage for the flood. That's the world Genesis is speaking into. In 2010, Amar Annis published On the Origin of the Watchers. If your Genesis commentary doesn't engage it, you're arguing out of context. So what does the text actually say? When humankind multiplied, the sons of God saw the daughters of men. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, mighty men of old, men of renown. If nothing supernatural happened, where did the Nephilim come from? And why do ancient translators render them giants? The New Testament isn't shy either. 2 Peter 2 and Jude talk about angels who sinned, kept in chains and gloomy darkness, explicitly tied to the flood. Peter even uses Tartarus, the prison of rebel gods in Greek thought, on purpose. That's not a wink. That's a neon sign, divine rebellion. But what about the third of the angels? There's no verse describing a pre-creation angelic fall of 1/3. The only place third and angels show up together is Revelation 12, connected to the Messiah's birth, not pre-human history. We turned poetry and 1800s theories into preaching points. Here's the bigger truth we don't like. Genesis 6 isn't just hybrid scandal, it's corruption. The Watchers taught humanity destructive knowledge, weaponized violence, occult practices, seductive immorality. The fast track to Genesis 6:5. Every intention of the thoughts of the heart was only evil continually. That's why verse 5 follows verses 1 to 4. The backstory explains the collapse. Will you interpret Scripture in its world or force it into ours? Why is the virgin birth or incarnation acceptable, but Genesis 6 must be neutered to keep us respectable at brunch? If Peter says angels sinned and uses Tartarus, why are we still pretending this is a Seth versus Cain dating problem? Bottom line, Genesis 6 is not about good boys marrying bad girls. It's a cosmic revolt that accelerates human ruin. The Bible expects you to read it that way. If you're ready to let Scripture speak from its world, not ours, hit subscribe, drop your questions, and I'll send you plenty of research material. Let's stop sanitizing the supernatural and start reading what's there.
There's a fire in the sky. You at peace, we wonder why. The news carries the whispers of war. Deception now rules, where truth becomes lies, and the ground shakes more than before. I see the headlines, feel the cold in the air. It's God's warning, a call to prepare. Signs of the times, in the headlines each day, in the tears of the broken, in the hearts of the brave. The world's spinning faster, but God's message divine. I'm coming quickly. Watch the signs of the times. The wolves all wear suits, and his sheep still walk blind. Deception runs deep in the fold. Wars still rage on, and world leaders unkind, while souls are bought and then sold. A voice in the storm, a light through the haze. We are living in the end of days. Signs of the times. know.